Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me today for a special appearance is Morgan.
Hey, I'm back.
So I'm here today with Morgan to discuss BTS blind items. And this is going to be the fourth blind items episode, so make sure you check out the previous ones if you haven't. Before we dive into the blind items, Morgan, how have you been since the last time you were on the podcast?
In case you're wondering where I've been working on my own podcast with a buddy. It's about politics and culture. That's about it. That's the reason why I haven't been here. And in case you're wondering what that podcast is, I'm not going to tell you because I'm pretty much afraid that if you listen to that podcast, you're not gonna like this one either. You know, if you thought I had crazy opinions on this podcast, then you'd be quite shocked if you have to listen to that one. But if you're super interested, then you can message and we'll tell you. But yeah, I don't necessarily want a lot of people going over there and how do I say this, like soiling their opinion of this show.
Right. So it could be considered controversial, maybe.
Could be? No. It will absolutely trigger you if you listen to it, I think. Although if you listen to me here, you might have some idea of what my positions are on things.
You might be desensitized already.
Yeah. You might have somewhat of a sense of it, but you don't have a full sense of it. Just trust me. When having to be limited by the constraints of K-pop topics, I have, I think, more moderate opinions.
I see.
So, yeah, if you really want to listen to it, we'll tell you. But I'm not going to put it out there because you probably won't enjoy it. But that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's great.
But I can come back a little bit now and then because it's just, it's kind of in cruise control over there on that one.
So that's good to hear. You've gotten into podcasting more. So we're here today for BTS Happy Hour to talk about more blind items. And if I felt that this type of episode works best when there's another person to discuss them with. That way you have like different points of view or different thoughts out there of what we're interpreting. So that's why I was very happy that Morgan was able to come today. And if you're new to this concept, blind items are information that is posted on the crazydaysandnights.net website, which is run by an anonymous 300 or 400 pound male entertainment lawyer who calls himself NT Lawyer.
I'm again, we talked about this person before, but if this description is accurate, then people know who he is.
He probably is known.
It's not an accurate description, though.
He might be throwing people off with that
correct
kind of crazy description.
That's what I would do. I'm sure there's literally one 300-pound entertainment lawyer in Hollywood.
Right.
First of all, there's how many entertainment lawyers?
Not that many.
Maybe 1,000? So there's only so many entertainment lawyers, and how many are 300 pounds? Very few. It's not an accurate description, I'm sure of it. But yeah, we've been through all that.
Yeah. And so he receives tips from people, usually people that have witnessed this happen or they've run into these celebrities, so they have some kind of like tidbit of information they send him, or he's just heard of things through his connections in the entertainment industry, and he will post them on the website with just a description of the people involved, and then readers will try to guess who it's about, and then later on he will sometimes reveal who the blind item was about. And so he sometimes has BTS and K-pop blind items on the site, and I always like to see what regular people have to say about that and what their guesses are.
Do we think that he has good connections when it comes to K-pop, though? It is South Korea and not LA, although they have some connection to LA, of course.
I don't think his connections are that great because a lot of times they don't seem too accurate, but they're still fun. Yeah. And some of them could be true for all we know.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay.
Rumors. This is the type of thing I don't really even listen to K-pop as much as I used to, so, I'm not the one to break down songs or anything like that.
Right.
But I can still talk about gossip, for sure.
So this first one was posted February 15th, 2022. and he has revealed that it is about BTS. So, yeah, like I said, sometimes he reveals who it is about and sometimes he doesn't. So, if not, then we can just discuss who we think it's about. But this time he did say this is about BTS. And it says, it never moved past brainstorming this year, but next year, don't be surprised at halftime of the Super Bowl, you have the foreign boy band paired off with every band with whom they have an English-speaking hit.
And they think that's BTS.
Yeah, they think that there was some discussion of BTS being the halftime show.
Well, who have they collaborated with? Megan Thee Stallion,
Yes.
Coldplay,
Yes.
Halsey, right? Who else?
Nicki Minaj, if you go back to Idol, that counts.
I guess that counts, yeah.
Sia.
She would want to be part of it. She wouldn't be part of the Super Bowl.
Right.
Clearly. Everybody does, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, we know that it's not happening this year. It's Rihanna, right?
Yeah, they just recently said they'd chosen Rihanna to do the next one.
We've talked about them doing the Super Bowl before, and it just seems so unlikely because the Super Bowl, the NFL is just such a different market. But at the same time, the NFL is aware that its audience is aging, and this is a concern. It's a concern for a lot of these legacy sports leagues because young people are not liking sports as much as previous generations, and that's a big concern. This is your potential customer base. And at some point, your customers will just age out then. So they are trying to appeal to younger and younger people. I don't know that BTS is really how much crossover is there from BTS to people who would like the NFL? I think very little.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I know? Maybe they're just keep in mind that they don't have perfect information either. This is just, like NFL executives just brainstorming and just wondering, how do we appeal to younger people? And then somebody mentions something like, my granddaughter likes this thing called BTS, and then they look it up on their phones and they're thinking, what is this, like Korean guys? I don't get it. But maybe the kids like it, so maybe we should do it. They are popular. They can see from the numbers that it's undeniably popular, so maybe they think, well, it's popular. Maybe we should be, bringing them in.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was discussed. How seriously, though, I don't know. And how effective would it be? I don't think very effective, because I don't think there's any crossover. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't hope it happens, because obviously it would be a great show. Yeah. And they would show people like the quality of a K-pop show versus the lazy BS shows that you generally get in the Super Bowl. Now keep in mind, in the Super Bowl, you rarely get people in their prime doing it, like a Bruno Mars, or Prince, or Michael Jackson way back when. Mm-hmm. You usually get washed up people like The Who, or Fat 50 Cent, or $1.50, whatever people want to call him, right? And like Dr. Dre and Eminem, like both fully 15 years past their prime.
Right.
That's usually what you get. And for good reason, because the people who spend money and watch football generally are older. It's not young people. So you generally get sort of past their prime artists, because that's what is appealing to the viewers. But again, the difficulty for the NFL is that they realize that young people are increasingly not watching sports. They're watching esports, or not even watching any kind of competitive thing. Their interests are not there. Mm-hmm. So they want to do something to appeal to them or get those customers.
Yeah, I could see BTS being thrown out there into the conversation, and then executives being like, well, did they have any collabs with any groups I do know? Because then that might help mitigate the, right. Only K-pop fans are going to care
right.
about this.
And keep in mind, the NFL, it's run by 32 really old men.
Yeah, don't underestimate their age of the owners.
Right. Well, I think maybe 2 of them were women.
Oh, okay.
But they're also old. So you're really getting old people's opinions on this. They probably think they're being pretty cutting edge by putting Rihanna in there.
Yeah, I was surprised by that choice.
Yeah.
Because she hasn't been singing. She's been busy
right.
being a billionaire.
and
For
The
5
Weeknd
years.
was on there, so that's pretty cutting edge for them.
Yeah.
So in fairness, I think they in this effort to sort of more modernize and inject some youth into the whole thing, they have been deferring to an outside consultant or something that tells them you need to bring in some of these young acts because I don't know what you guys want to bring in, like Billy Joel or whatever it is you guys like to listen to, but that's not going to bring young people in. I think it's pointless, though. Honestly, I think it's pointless. Is a Super Bowl halftime show going to make you like football all of a sudden? Either you like football or you don't.
Right.
I don't think that a halftime show is going to make someone like football when they otherwise wouldn't have liked it. They probably just watch the YouTube clip of the halftime show.
Yeah. I think they just pick anyone who's A-list. That's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another factor for the next year is that this year was the last year of the being sponsored by Pepsi, and then next year is when it starts being sponsored by Apple Music. And that would have opened up BTS to it because I think they endorse it, or they're not, because they couldn't do the Pepsi halftime show because they're endorsed by Coke still, like from one of their foreign country deals. So BTS wouldn't have even been gotten too far along in that conversation. But maybe next year, the year after. But I think Apple Music, like a lot of artists endorse that, so that kind of opens up to a lot of other people. And that's why a lot of people thought, oh, maybe it's going to be Taylor Swift because she's available now, because she was also a Coke person that is available under Apple Music. But I guess I don't know if this is true or not, but people said that she declined because she's working on her albums and stuff, so she doesn't have time to get ready for a whole performance like that. But I think this probably is true. They just mentioned BTS like at the very beginning, just throwing like, okay, who's popular right now? Throw that out there, and then, somehow they came up to, let's get these 90s rappers. I don't know how that became the end result, but that's what happened.
No, it makes perfect sense. 90s rappers is what 40-year-old men like to listen to. That's probably the biggest demographic watching NFL football.
Right.
Right?
That's still watching sports.
Yeah. So it makes perfect sense to me.
I never would have thought of that lineup, though. I would just thought, well, maybe one or two of them. But I guess they decided, like, okay, more is even better.
Just don't get your hopes up. I don't think they'll be playing it.
Yeah, it's probably not on their radar, especially now that they're on hiatus. It's going to be hard to like squeeze in a big event like that. Second blind item. This is from April 2nd, 2022, revealed to be about BTS. It says, the road manager for this foreign-based A-plus list group spent nearly $100,000 on strippers in Vegas Thursday night. So BTS's road manager was having a good time at the strip club. Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know who the road manager is, but that sounds very believable.
Well, I've been to Vegas strip clubs, and I can tell you, yeah, it's believable.
Is that a large amount, or is that...
Oh, yeah, of course it's a large amount.
Well, I mean, if you're a high roller, maybe it's not, like, that large of an amount.
No, it's still a large amount. It's definitely a large amount. You're going in the back room and doing some stuff.
Oh, okay. So that you'd have to do extra stuff like that, not just like being in the main area.
Oh yeah, you can't be in the main area. What are you going to be doing? Like throwing bricks of money at them?
Very large bills.
No.
This is for like private stuff, like lap dances and
in the back.
The rooms
or
in the back.
Or prostitution even.
Okay.
Yeah.
Champagne room.
That's definitely on the table for this dollar amount.
Right.
Yeah. I'm assuming that prostitution was involved.
Oh, okay.
You don't get up to $100,000 in lap dances.
That's true.
Can't like be that good. Even like the most expensive, $500. How many are you getting in a row? 200?
That's true.
Even if there's some sort of flat fee or the different places, it didn't say which strip club, but the different places have different rules about this sort of thing. It's just hard to spend that amount of money buying the typical things you like. And I'm not an expert on strip clubs. I don't like them very much. But Yeah, I'm almost certain some prostitution was involved, which also is not weird or uncommon.
Mm-hmm. And just to note that the dates for this were when
they were in Vegas.
Yeah, when BTS
Of
was
course.
in town for the Grammys and Permission to Dance Las Vegas concerts.
Well, I'm glad they had fun.
The road manager had a very good time. I'm just assuming that this came...
BTS couldn't go.
Yeah, they'd be seen immediately. I'm assuming this tip came from somebody at the strip club. They probably... One of the girls, maybe.
Yeah. I said this Korean guy spent a lot of money.
And I was like, oh, they're with BTS? Wow.
Right.
Okay.
I bet you anything strip clubs are a great place for tips. Famous people go
they
there.
Probably are.
And it's stuff that, it's gossipy stuff that you want to hear about. And I'm sure strippers have no problem sort of selling tips here and there.
Yeah.
So that's a great source of tips.
Yeah. So I think we both...
I mean, I have no problem with it. Do you think that people have a problem with it? Just, it exists. They have these things in Korea too.
Right.
Let's not act like this type of thing doesn't happen there.
Yeah. Things in Vegas aren't that crazy compared to other places.
It is illegal. Like, if it involved prostitution, it is illegal. And I'm almost certain it did, because it's hard to drop this amount of money without there being prostitution involved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they had just gone to a regular club, yeah, there's ways to spend that amount of money. Like, you could just buy gigantic bottles of liquor.
Right.
You can easily spend $100,000.
What is it, Dom?
There's just like I don't really know. I just see them sometimes on video when people bring them out and they're gigantic,
right?
And it costs $50,000. I think were we with a person who bought one of those? No. We were never with. I was never with a high roller like that, but I was with someone who spent like $25,000 at Marquee.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were there. So he spent $25,000. I think
getting
$30,000
champagne, right?
Yeah. And he expensed it. So you can definitely spend that amount legally at a club. But if you're going to a strip club and you're spending that amount, it has to be some illegal stuff going on, I think. I think they have super expensive bottles too, but nothing like 50,000 or anything like that.
Right.
And perhaps, if he was with a large group and he was buying lap dances for everybody, perhaps
maybe it
could be legal expenditures that just added up. It's possible.
It's like a big group of...
Yeah, if he was, paying for all of them. But still unlikely. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. Does it bother anybody else?
Probably
that their
not.
Manager is engaging in illegal activities?
Well, it's the manager, so I think people are like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, if it was BTS that was there, we'd be hearing about a lot about that.
No, there's no way they could get away with being at a strip club.
Next blind item was from April 4th, 2022. It says there was nothing spontaneous about the 17 seconds featuring the A-minus list still young singer and the foreign-born A-lister from a group. There was a lot of discussion ahead of time who the famed singer would be. And this one is not revealed, but it seems to sound a lot like when he did the skit for the Grammys with Olivia Rodrigo. I don't know who else this could be about, but that's what it seems like to me.
So I don't get it. Are they implying that they're dating? Or, of course, it was intentional. They didn't just, do it randomly, I don't think. What are you talking about?
Right. I guess the purpose of this was to say that, maybe they were considering some other singers for her part, and it was just, a lot of back and forth. It's who would be the ideal person, that V is whispering to in this skit, we want it to be, some young, hot person, up and coming, maybe, age appropriate, and nobody, they wouldn't want anyone, too A-list, because then they would, they would outshine V, maybe. You can't be whispering to Beyonce. That's going to be too distracting, So
so it wasn't. Did people think it was candid still? Essentially, this is just saying it's not candid, right?
Yeah, I get. She
but
wasn't
I understood
just.
It wasn't candid.
Yeah, she wasn't just the person who happened to be sitting next to him.
Yeah.
Got roped into this.
Okay. Well,
skit.
We already thought it wasn't candid.
Yeah, I figured there was some discussion of.
But they're not implying that they're dating.
No.
Or anything. Yeah, but okay. So they're just saying it wasn't candid.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't candid.
That was like Hybe or their managers or somebody was just like, okay, who is the
No
perfect
big
person? So, yeah, that's what happened there. So they just wanted, I guess, just the right person who's a star, but not too big of a star to be in this. So, I mean, they could have chosen like Lizzo or something. I guess we should be glad it wasn't like
No.
someone we don't want to see.
I believe that BTS would have vetoed that.
So this next one, kind of crazy. It's not revealed, so I don't know exactly who it is about, but it does sound like it's people we know. It says it's from August 25th, 2022. The management company behind this foreign-born A-plus list boy band group that has been A-plus list for years has partnered with this foreign-born A-list singer in a group who has never done anything solo except be linked to famous actresses and marrying one of them. They are the highest profile of the original investors, of which there are at least a dozen in a new venture. What it boils down to is the company is going to provide much needed Western currency to this very isolated country in return for teens and young women 15 to 22 to be shipped to a sister country and sold to men who want wives.
So they think that who's the business supplying money? Hybe?
Hybe.
And are we talking about them shipping like girls from North Korea to China?
A sister country. Yeah, I guess it could be China, but
South Korea?
I thought maybe they'd be sent to South Korea.
It's hard to get people out of North Korea.
Yeah.
But I have heard of women being shipped from North Korea to China because they have a shortage of women.
Right. They have the imbalance of the
genders. That does happen. So that's what I'm thinking of. But how would Hyde be involved in that?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're funding it?
I guess they're part of a group of investors that is putting this all together.
It just seems so outlandish. So
like, why do all that?
They're part of human trafficking?
Right. They're saying like, well, Hybe plus Chris Martin, I guess.
Why would Chris Martin be involved with it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Chris Martin doesn't feel the need to be part of human trafficking.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
He's been making a lot of money for years and years.
He's a millionaire already.
Yeah. How much more money could he make from this? Would that be worth it? Go from being a beloved pop star to being a criminal? I don't think so.
Right. Well, I thought maybe there's some kind of like a UN involvement, because sometimes there's groups like that it's like, oh, we're trying to like help people and get them out of this area to this other area, and maybe that's a front for something. But then it doesn't mention the UN at all, so maybe not. But
I just don't think that either of these entities would be involved in something like this, just because it's not worth it. It's worth it if you are a criminal organization.
Yeah.
Because this is just another place to spend your dirty money to make more money. But if you're a legitimate organization, making more, you already make a ton of clean money. Making more dirty money is a risk. Why would they even? This just seems so out of left field.
Yeah, and Hybe, as far as I know, doesn't have any connection in North Korea. But I have seen how like SM has tried to like talk to North Korea about stuff, about like, oh, let's be peaceful and have a cultural exchange or whatever. But I don't believe this one. This is just so strange. It's a little
the motivations
crazy.
Don't make sense at all. So I'm not going to believe it.
But yeah, NT has mentioned that sometimes he does get tips, and it's people that are trying to make somebody look bad. So this could be, something like that, where someone has maybe heard something and it's not that verified, but they're like, oh, Hybe is doing this.
Yeah, no. Yeah. You always first start with motivations. If motivations don't make sense, then it's not true.
Yeah. It's not there. The motivation should not exist unless there's like a major part that's not being discussed from this. Okay, this next one was from August 29th, 2022, and it was revealed who is involved in this. It says the singer of the K-pop girl group that is in the news a lot right now, so this is Jennie, likes being photographed with popular male boy band members. The first one was called to help divert public attention after a restaurant employee saw her making out with her label boss, which is YG. And the second boyfriend is an aging label mate who needed new fans. So they're saying she was seen with Kai to divert public attention after she was making out with YG.
Yeah, okay.
And then the second was her and G-Dragon, that they set that up to help G-Dragon like be in the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says the third boyfriend secretly hates his band and wants to stand out at all costs. He was brought in to create some love triangle drama between her, him, and the second boyfriend. It is not a coincidence that all participants of the love triangle are sponsored by the same casino mafia family. So they're saying like V secretly hates being in BTS.
They're all sponsored by Paradise Casino.
I've never heard of this.
Is it true? Has that been verified?
I don't know.
So this is also crazy, but when you break down each portion of it, it kind of does make sense. Like, it could be true. All of these things. It's pretty gross that she's making out with YG, but I guess, like, okay. It's not like that has never happened.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the label boss.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to date someone like Jenny, you just start a famous label.
Yeah. Well, remember Mariah Carey married Tommy Mottola.
Yeah, this is not unheard of. So each little portion could make sense. These motivations could be true, and they're not illogical, right?
Well, have you heard about the V and Jenny pictures from the last few months? Do you believe?
I have, even not paying much attention to K-pop.
Do you think they were dating, or do you think that was a whole publicity thing like this is saying?
I haven't paid close enough attention to have a strong opinion. I just thought they were dating.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to believe people are dating. It's like, oh, yeah, why wouldn't they?
They have to be dating
not?
somebody. Here's the thing about K-pop. I've always said they're dating somebody, and it's somewhat likely that someone in the industry.
Yeah.
They do. They work the vast majority of the time, so it is likely that you're dating someone at work.
Mm-hmm.
I know this will trigger people because if you want to believe this item, you have to believe that V hates his band.
Right. That was a part of it.
Yeah, it's possible. And again, I know this is a lot of people are not going to want to hear this, but people hating their band is just not uncommon, guys. Look at every band in history.
Right.
Most of them have had some interpersonal conflict. Okay? Just think about it logically for a second. You probably have, even if you have a group of 7 friends that you've been together for like 10 years, right? And imagine if you spend a lot of time with each other, you're going to have interpersonal conflict. Like, a couple of people maybe won't get along with a couple of the other people. Maybe in general you guys do get along, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there will be some friction there. And if you're just forced to hang out with each other constantly, these small irritations and small frictions can really fester. And it will just make you start to sort of hate. It can happen. Look at many bands have broken up over this. You just know it's true. And it doesn't have to be bands, just like you and 6 other friends. Some people drop out. Some people just start to get irritated with other people, you know?
Right.
And there's drama, there's gossip, there's betrayals, there's this and there's that. It will just happen with people. And so I don't think it's that hard to believe. Of course, they put on a front of they love each other and all this, and like it could be true, but it could also not be true, because if they didn't, they would also say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't know until they finally break up, and then people talk about it years later.
Right.
Like, I really hated that guy. It's like, oh, I didn't know that the police hated each other or whatever. They did, by the way.
Oh.
As an old band. Right?
Yeah.
I think even the Beatles had friction, right?
Yeah, and probably fans didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, at the time, they didn't know that. So, why did the Beatles break up after 10 years? They didn't get along famously, or they didn't necessarily love each other all the time, right?
Right.
There's lots of reasons. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. You know, John Lennon married Yoko Ono. That was a big part of it, right? So people are human, and they have friction, and personalities can clash. And I think maybe K-pop is even more prone to it, because this is not even an organic group of people that got together to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's very often the case that they're put together arbitrarily. Like, 7 people are a group now. Now you got to be best friends. And like, well, if we weren't put in a group together, this is not the type of person I would have made friends with in the first place.
Right.
That's very possible. So, but now you're spending most of your time with that person for the next 10 years. That's a very tough proposition.
It's like versus Boys to Men or somebody where it's like, oh, this is my close friends.
Yeah, they grew up. Yeah, they grew up together.
With.
They were already friends, and then they became a group. Maybe they're more likely to just like each other for a long period of time. Some of them are even related to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if some members of BTS just don't like some other members. It's very possible.
Yeah, I mean, and they now, like the past few years, especially, they have had a really good image of everybody gets along, everybody loves each other, and maybe they resolved all of the stuff from the past, but we know they went through some stuff before. So,
well, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Yeah, they talked about later on how they've had, interpersonal conflicts with each other.
Okay, and there might even be bigger stuff that they still don't talk about.
Yeah.
You never know. You just never know. But statistically, you can sort of assume. Mm-hmm. With a certain number of people, it's just there's going to be stuff going on.
Especially if you live with them, work with them all day long.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, I can't deal with this person anymore. Imagine if you had to live with them too.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can't understand, why don't you just think about your workplace? Do you love all the people at your workplace? No.
Nope.
There's some people you outright hate, and there's some people that they're kind of annoyed with, but it's okay because you just don't deal with them too much.
Yeah.
Imagine being forced to live with them day and night for the next 7 years. You could very well start to resent a lot of them, but you have to put on a good face. You have to get over your problems because that's the business.
So do you think the fact that this person says, okay, V secretly hates being in BTS and wants to stand out, that like YG was like, let me use you for this publicity stunt then, or did he come to them with that?
I don't know how the mechanics of that all. I don't know how that would work, but I don't really want to believe it because I just don't want to picture Jennie kissing YG.
Yeah, that's gross.
That's gross. And also, I'm not sure how putting forth these fake rumors about Kai would divert attention, because you better believe that if there are rumors about her kissing YG, I'm going to ignore all other rumors. That's the one I'm going to focus on because it's the most salacious.
Right. It's like, what's happening with that?
Yeah, how does that divert attention? But aside from that one part of the story, all of the other ones have an internal logic to them. So either this is real because a lot of the pieces make sense, at least on their own. Like none of them seem illogical, like Chris Martin wanting to be part of like some human trafficking ring. Like, why would he? He has plenty of money. Why would he now want to be a criminal and make just a few more dollars? That makes no sense, right?
Right.
At least all the components of this could make sense. And the fact that someone put together a rumor that had so many different components that in themselves make sense sort of lends credibility to it.
Yeah.
Like if you were just making stuff up and throwing stuff against the wall, some things wouldn't make sense.
Some things would contradict other
like these motivations don't make sense. This is weird. I don't understand this. On their own, all of these make sense. It's like, okay, she would want to divert attention from having a relationship with her manager or her label boss.
Yeah.
What's his face would want, more attention. He just came back from the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
If V doesn't like his bandmates, then yeah, he would want to maybe stand out by having like this be in the news and puts him sort of above his bandmates.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard in other blinds that her and G-Dragon wasn't a real thing. It was just like a leaked thing. It was just for publicity. So I believe that part
So I don't want to believe it just because the mental image of her kissing YG, but I think I'm like 55% believing it. Just because all the components makes internal sense. And like if you wanted to craft a lie or something, it wouldn't have so many components. You would just craft a lie, a fake rumor that was more limited. Why is it so complicated and brings in so many different people?
Mm-hmm.
It it does sound like, yeah, this could be true.
I did think at the time like she really was dating Kai though. I didn't hear about the YG.
That's the only one
Part.
that makes me iffy, because this idea that it was meant to distract from her making out with YG in a restaurant. Like, there's nothing that would distract us from that. You know?
Maybe they leaked it.
It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
They were.
It would be like, did you know that Leonardo DiCaprio is dating someone new? I'm like, yeah. Oh, who is it? He's dating this famous actress. Oh, I really want to talk about it. It's like, it's a fake rumor though. It's just to distract from the fact that he was caught being a cannibal and eating human beings in his basement.
It's like, wait.
Let's stop talking about the relationship. What is this about him being a cannibal?
Right.
It's like, never mind that.
Let's get to the bottom of that.
It's like, let's talk about the relationship. Aren't you more interested in that? Well, fuck no, I'm not more interested in that. I want to hear about him being a cannibal. Who is he eating? How long has he been a cannibal? What? Where does he get the bodies? Are the police investigating? It's obviously the more interesting story.
Right.
So if you're concocting this Kai relationship as a distraction, you're either a really dumb handler or dumb manager, because that's not going to work. I mean, maybe it will work if you have full complicit cooperation from the Korean media. But then if you had full complicit cooperation from the Korean media, you could just cover it up. You don't even need to create a fake relationship. You could just say, don't talk about her kissing YG.
Right.
Or else, or whatever it is you do, right? So I just do not believe that tactically that works. Because of course everybody would want to talk about that.
And
everybody.
That news came out on a New Year's Eve or New Year's Day dispatch reveal. So like how do you have that timing, you know?
Yeah, that's the one part of it that breaks down.
Because if she would have had to have been kissing him like, 2 days before. Oh, okay. Well, let's quickly drop this on
I do not
New
believe
Year's.
So I'm going to say no, just because, again, I don't even want to think about her kissing him. That's so gross.
Yeah.
The guy isn't even like, how old is he?
It's getting like 50 or something.
And she's like 20, right?
Right. It's gross.
Wow. That's going to be Leo DiCaprio soon, though. Right? He's not going to stop.
Do you think he'll stick with his 25-year?
Oh, yeah, of course he will. If you can, why not? But the thing is, well, I can't even say that he's better looking. Well, he's better looking than YG, but he doesn't keep himself in shape.
Right.
That's the bad part.
He's starting to just like look however he wants.
Right. I mean, I'm all for it. Go ahead and date young women. That's what I would do if I were in your position. Oh, by the way, his latest girlfriend is a smoke show. Have you seen her? She's like a Ukrainian model.
I've heard about this woman.
Here's how you know she's a smoke show. They like took candid pictures of her walking around shopping, and they just look like model pictures.
Right.
So there's no filter. There's no anything. But that's what you get when you're a 21-year-old model, I guess.
And she was just wearing like a swimsuit top just to go shopping at a jewelry store or something.
So she wasn't hot the way like Scarlett Johansson was hot, meaning with a lot of scientific help and technology, you know?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, she was just hot in the way that 21-year-old model can be hot. But anyway, Leo DiCaprio doesn't really keep himself in shape either. YG definitely doesn't keep himself in shape. But this is a lot less offensive with older men like Brad Pitt who are in shape still.
Right.
Like, I don't think, I wouldn't speak for other people, but I wouldn't be grossed out if Brad Pitt was dating a 21-year-old model.
Right.
Because it would still look kind of appropriate. It would be like, yeah, I can see it. Like,
right. Attractive older guys. Like,
right. It's like, are you most women are still attracted to him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes 21-year-old models. But if you're an older guy and you let yourself go and you just have your fame and your money and your position,
mm-hmm.
then they're not attracted to you physically anymore. They're just attracted to your position and what you can do for them.
Yeah.
And that is kind of gross because then it's like too transactional.
People don't like to see
Even
that.
though like transactional is fine. You're an adult. You can do transactional relationships. Go ahead. But I don't like to see it. That's all. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
I would say Leonardo DiCaprio is right on the borderline because he doesn't keep himself in shape, but he's like close enough that when he does films, he can just sort of kick it into gear and get into good shape and for the film, right?
Yeah.
So it's still within striking distance being a good-looking guy. And of course, like underneath genetically, he's a good-looking guy. So it just takes a little effort for him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with YG, I don't think he's even like a good-looking guy genetically.
Right, to start with.
Right. And he's an older guy who let himself go. So I do not want to see him kissing 21-year-old K-pop star.
Yeah.
That's not really what I'm looking to see or envision.
Hopefully that never happened.
Yeah. And why are you doing it at a restaurant?
Yeah, that's pretty public.
You would think they'd be smarter than that. And the whole, they're all promoted by this mafia casino. That also is kind of a stretch. Because why would V and Jenny still be... You feel like they would have cut ties with them.
Yeah.
You have plenty of money. You have plenty of fame. It's not like you need these people anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Do they just have blackmail on you or something?
Is it sort of like Frank Sinatra? Like
yeah, I was just gonna say that Frank Sinatra.
His relationship with the mafia, like he owes them things, they owe him things,
and they have dirt on you. I don't get it.
Right, it could be. I need to hear more about this mafia family.
That's like really interesting stuff. So years in the future, you will find out about their mafia connections, I guess.
Yeah.
Just like we found out about Frank Sinatra years later.
Yeah, that is like factual.
And then what's so funny about, in case you don't know who Frank Sinatra is, he's a famous American singer. He sings American standards. That's the kind of music I like. He's dead. But what's funny about it is when it came out that he, pretty heavily implied he had mob connections. It just seemed like nobody cared. And it was almost like, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed so, yeah, of course. It seemed pretty obvious that he did. And it almost added to his aura, to his legend.
Right.
Like, not only was he a famous singer and actor, he also had this sort of dark side where he had mafia connections.
Well, it's like how being a villain makes you look cool.
Right.
It's like he was working with some bad guys.
Right. Not saying he was a criminal, but he had connections.
Yeah.
Like, he could call criminals and talk to them by first name.
Right. And
I don't think that's the case with V and Jenny, though.
Yeah. I'll say I do think overall this blind does seem pretty believable, except for the V part of it, because it's my theory that YG organized that whole thing to help Jenny for Blackpink's album coming out, and I don't think they recruited V. They just like decided to use him, and then maybe he didn't fight it that hard, or he was just like, oh, okay, whatever, I guess I'm in the headlines now. Maybe he didn't mind, but I think they just used him. Like they used her pictures,
right.
And then they, had somebody, whatever, Photoshop them, and they leaked that totally on their own, not with V's involvement. But, that's just my theory on that part of it that I talked about in other episodes. But it does seem overall like this could have happened.
I'm going to give it like 55%.
Yeah. That's
just because of how believable it is to string together logical things like this.
Yeah. This last blind is from June 15th, 2022, and it was revealed to be about BTS. It says, the foreign-born supergroup is taking a break. When they return, most of the members will have been replaced.
Is it about BTS?
Yeah.
Replaced by whom?
Other people, I guess?
TXT?
It depends what they mean by replace. Does replace mean, okay, different people are going to be members of BTS? Or do they mean, like, in the world of K-pop, other people are going to be prominent, going to be the top groups? Like, I'm not sure exactly what they mean, but we know BTS isn't a group that has people switched out. It's not like NCT or whatever, like SM groups where they rotate people.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
I think.
Well, the person writing the blind item doesn't know that they'll be replaced by other groups just in terms of popularity. No one can tell that.
Right.
So they must be talking about replacing them in the group, like
Yeah.
NCT.
Yeah, and
No, then I don't think it's true.
they are on a break now, and like that part is true, but I don't see them putting different people into BTS. That would cause such an uproar. Like, what if they said, okay,
It makes no sense.
we're gonna put this trainee or whatever who's
No, yeah, it makes no sense.
up and coming. We will put them into BTS for now, and that way, one that is off in the military, he can be replaced by this person, and they can perform as seven still. Like, I don't see them doing that. Like, they're just gonna, if some of them are in the military, they're just gonna go with whatever they have.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, this one I don't believe. So if that's supposed to be about BTS, then I think the tipster is like incorrect or has gotten it confused with somebody else. So yeah, we don't think this one's happening.
Right. No, this is total bunk.
Thank you to crazydaysandnights.net for providing the source material for the blind items we discussed today. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can listen to BTS Happy Hour on Samsung Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or visit btshappyhour.com. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Weverse. Check out the merch store with BTS-themed tees, hoodies, and more, linked in the description, as well as on the BTS Happy Hour Facebook page. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.